Hi, and welcome to Yoga for Expats. This is the second in a series of yoga practices specifically designed with the needs of expats, nomads, immigrants, and other dislocated people. The following practice is one for flexibility. I used to work for a very large entertainment park where the performers were often encouraged to just be flexible about everything that suited management. I remember walking into work one day to find a wire hanger all twisted up, pinned to the wall of the break room, with a sign that read, "Just be flexible." Someone I worked with wasn't afraid to show their grievance. I thought it was a brilliant statement because a hanger that would constantly attempt to be flexible for everyone and everything would soon lose its function as a hanger, becoming a useless tangled mess. It isn't uncommon for yoga practitioners to take the same perspective on flexibility as management did, and that extreme sensation is what is called for when stretching. But that's definitely not my view on flexibility. It isn't merely a physical concept. It is, perhaps more importantly, an emotional and mental one too. Nor is it something without countermeasure to ensure stability and functionality are also taken into consideration. Flexibility arises when we allow it to come into being, first by being curious about our boundaries, and then by seeking gentle sensations, and finally by discovering and honoring what works as well as what doesn't. Today's sequence is called Bend Like a Reed. Life is always demanding flexibility, and life abroad demands even more. The following sequence will help you find your fluidity to go with the flow. Let's get started. We'll start seated, and this can be any seat that's comfortable for you. So if you need a chair, feel free to grab one. Bring your hands into Anjali Mudra at the chest. This is also called prayer pose. And just hold an intention for your practice today, that you get in touch for yourself, with yourself, and this idea of flexibility, what it means, what it doesn't mean. Breathe. Consider some of the ways that life asks you to be more flexible. Where are you unwilling or unable to be flexible? Where are the demands too high? And where might you be able to be more flexible than you think? Bring your hands back to your knees. We're just going to begin to now rock side to side just to feel. And I'm yawning here. I'm just opening and closing the mouth because that helps to release tension in the jaw. It's also a natural response as we begin to slow down and get in touch with more of our parasympathetic nervous system, our resting nervous system. And now I'm making circles, just feeling what's in contact with the ground and rooting through that contact point. So feeling my sits bones as I shift weight from right to left, changing direction of the circle. And this doesn't have to be a certain way. You can go back and forth between. You can let your body lead you. In fact, through this whole practice, I encourage you to not worry so much about what I'm doing or even suggesting, but just follow your body. Back to center now, and we're going to begin to let the head drop forward and around and back and to the side and around to the front. And I'm exhaling as I come around to the front, breathing in as you move towards the back. Notice that I'm not craning my head back. I'm reaching more as I go back. I'm reaching more with the top of my head into the space above me, more so than I am trying to bend behind myself. And now switching directions. Exhale. And inhale. There's a little bit of pressure on my knees downward toward the ground, so I feel really connected as I'm going around. And your movements might be larger, they might be smaller. It all depends on how flexible you are through your spine. And back up to center. Now just give yourself a chance to equilibrate here. Notice any sensations or shifts of energy as a result of that practice. Breathe. Now we're going to start rotating at the shoulders. So I'm going to ask you to bring your elbows parallel to the ground, and then from there, start to explore some rotation of the shoulders. Now you might find that bringing the hands behind the head and the elbows up toward the ceiling is nice. You might find bringing the elbows forward and kind of touching the elbows in front of the body is nice. Maybe drawing the elbows together in the back of the body. So all of this is and can be part of the exploration. Again, there's really no right or wrong way to do this as long as it's not causing any pain or discomfort in the body. It should feel good. So now my arms are kind of floating overhead. I'm just swaying like that reed. A reed in the breeze, or perhaps underwater. Flowing from side to side, feeling all through the side of the body as the arms sway and the head sways. And now around to the front. So this is like what we were doing in the beginning. I'm just going from side to side here in a sweep. Breathing in as I come up, and out as I flow forward. Using that back arm to anchor myself, give myself a little support for a greater reach. Good, and you might find, because we've warmed up a little bit with some smaller movements, that you have more range of motion here now. And now let's come forward. Now, your forearms or even your forehead may or may not touch the ground. That's really not important. Don't come any further than is comfortable for your lower back. So you can use a block at any height to support your forehead. You can have your hands supporting you on the ground, or you can come down to your forearms like you see here, or come all the way down to the ground if you're able to do that. However this posture might look for you, the important thing is to feel as though you're surrendering and letting go of tension, of worry, of negativity. Surrender. You can open and close your hands. Breathe and let go. And then rolling up. If you have a block, just put it to the side. And then sitting in neutral for a moment to feel the effects of that practice. Now I'm going to invite you onto all fours here. We're going to do a little exploration of moving the tail and the head. Now I have my toes bent back. You can have your feet flat if you want instead. Just notice the contact that you have with the ground and what's touching the ground. And then just begin to maybe wiggle your hips a little side to side, maybe your shoulders. Get in touch with the head and the connection of the head with the tail. And then begin to shift your weight so your hips will come back towards your heel, then your head will lead forward, and so on. And for those of you who have any wrist issues, it might not be comfortable for you to bring your weight over your hands like this. So just pay attention to your body's own needs and move as is comfortable for you. One of the ways you can do this is you can, if you have wrist issues, you can come down onto your forearms instead. Now you can begin to arch the back, roll through the spine, feel that connection again from head to tail, then maybe flatten the back, do some cat-cow. Make sure that you're breathing. Usually the exhale is with the arch, the inhale with the cow-like posture. And you can create waves throughout the spine as you continue to move your weight backward and forward, just exploring. And now I've got some side bending motion here as well, so you can just curve the spine side to side, as well as up and down. And then I start to make some circles. you can explore that as well. We're going to lean back now into a child's pose. So again, if this is not comfortable for you, you can just be on your forearms instead of having your arms extended. You can also use a bolster or anything underneath you if you need that. Otherwise, try to work your tailbone, or not work your tailbone, but let your tailbone just relax towards your heels. And feel the full length of your spine as you bring your forehead either to a block or to the floor. Breathe. Feel free to make any micro movements to deepen sensation in the body, or to free up places that are tight and uncomfortable. Now draw your hands in. You're going to have your elbows right out from your shoulders, and you're going to have your wrists right under your elbows. Just begin now to roll your forehead across the floor from left to right. Use your hands to take some of the weight off your head so that this is comfortable. You want just enough weight on the forehead to really feel like you're getting a massage from the floor as you roll. This should be very soothing. If it's not soothing, alter it so that it works for you. There's no strain on the neck. Now, if you feel safe doing so, you may also roll the forehead up and down. So coming to the top of your head, to the crown, and then back. And again, the full weight is not on the head. We're using the arms to make sure that the neck is not in any danger. Just enjoy the sensation of massage along that line from brow to crown. And then we're going to come on now to the forearms. And some of you might have been in this position earlier. And just begin to explore again that cat-cow through the spine movement, and also the shifting of the weight from the upper half of the body to the lower half of the body. We are about to prepare for a downward dog. So just take a little bit more movement as you feel your way there. And then lift. Don't worry about straightening your legs. Don't worry about bringing your heels to the ground. Work on opening the backs of the legs toward the space behind you, and lengthening the spine from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Emptying the belly towards the upper body. Feel free to come down at any time. You don't have to hold this. You can rest and come back up. And now let's come back down. We're going to sit on our knees now in rock pose. Feel free to put a cushion under your bottom or underneath your knees or your ankles if this is uncomfortable for you. You can also sit with your legs extended to the front in staff pose instead. Just a moment of meditation to reflect on what we've done. And now I'm going to invite you to come on to one side. Now, if you're not comfortable resting your head on your arm, by all means use a blanket or pillow under your head. Bringing your knees parallel or directly out from your hips. Legs stacked one on top of the other. And begin to move the top leg in exploration. So here I'm bringing it in towards the chest. Maybe grabbing hold with the hand, maybe not. The foot is flexed. And then I move the leg behind me, so I'm just feeling an opening through the front groin, perhaps a little bit of stretch in the thigh. So just a back and forth exploration. Now I begin a little bit of a deeper exploration by opening the hip, bringing the knee towards the armpit, and then the leg out straight. Again, my foot is flexed. There's tension in my leg throughout here. I'm pushing into space to lengthen the leg. Drawing tight together through the side body. And now here I'm going to explore a little internal and external rotation of the hip. So I'm bringing the knee in and then opening the knee out. Again, the foot is flexed, there's tension in the leg. And now just some circular movements through that hip, just feeling where there's any stickiness or jitteriness. And then resting for a moment. Had a little cramp there, so always feel free to shake anything out. Rest, let go as we prepare for more. So now I'm going to have you keep your legs pinned together, and you're just going to raise your feet toward the ceiling, the knees stay on the ground. And you'll feel a shortening in the upper side of the body as you do this. We'll just do a few. You can hold or you can come up and down. And one more. Exhale, release. Now, if you have a strap, that might be helpful here. If you can grab hold of your foot, do so. If that's too much, grab hold of your leg wherever you can. It might be under your knee. And begin to explore bringing the foot back behind you to stretch the quadricep, the thigh, and or bringing the leg forward and towards the chest, and exploring maybe some circular movement through the hips. You're holding onto the foot or leg somewhere. Just breathe and see what feels good. And then take a moment of rest. We hold a lot of tension and a lot of fear in our hips. Fear of moving forward. Now here, becoming very long and straight, and this is really a side balance, so do your best to be on the side body and in a straight line. And again, use the strap or hold wherever you can on your leg, or just keep your knee bent, no problem. And if that upper leg invites you to draw it closer to the upper body, then do so. But don't force anything. Stay slightly tense through the grounded leg. Good, and just curl back up a little bit and rest. We're going to switch to the other side now. So again, if you need something under your head, just moving it, or use your arm. Stacking your knees one on top of the other, and the knees directly out from the hips. And we'll be giving a similar treatment to this hip, the upper leg. And rather than it being the same, just let it be equal. It's an exploration, not a pattern. Okay, so we'll be bringing the knee in towards the chest, maybe grabbing on with the arm, and then open the leg behind us, using that front arm as a counterbalance. Remember to keep the foot flexed so there's tension through the leg even as we move it back and forth. And resting for a moment. Now bringing that knee up towards the arm and then out, and maybe making circles. So just an exploration of moving that hip in various directions and ways. exploring the inner and outer rotation. So maybe bringing the knee in and then out and up. And rest before we continue. Keeping the legs pinned together, lifting the feet towards the ceiling. Knees stay on the ground. Feet are flexed. Shortening through the side body as you lift. You can hold that position, or you can go up and down as rapidly as you choose. Another moment of rest here. Now grabbing hold of the foot or ankle or behind the knee and exploring the extension of that upper leg. And then when you're ready, see if you can extend the body long and rest, balance on that side body. In a line. Again, your knee doesn't have to be straight here, it can be bent. It might take some effort to balance through the body. It might help to flex that supporting leg. Let's bring that leg back and around to get a quadricep stretch here. Bringing the foot towards the buttock, keeping the knee straight down from the hip. And then you can bring that foot forward. If you can grab hold of the underside of the foot and just kind of give it a squeeze toward the chest. And then back to the quadricep stretch. And you can move in between those. I'm holding here, but feel free to go back and forth between the tuck and the stretch. And resting that leg. Now let's rest and feel the effects of that. As we roll onto our backs, knees bent, arms out to the side. Make any little adjustments you need to let the body be. Feel your points of contact, the feet, the pelvic bowl, lower back. Back ribs, shoulder blades, shoulders, backs of the arms, the back of the head. And feel the ground there supporting you, holding you. Let tension melt off of your bones and away from your body. It's easier to be flexible when we take time for ourselves, to empty out and fill up. Let your bones support you in this position. If you feel as though you're having to hold your legs up, see if you can release some of that habitual tension. If you need to, you can separate your legs a little wider and let your knees fall in towards the center. And anywhere that tension might build, adjust yourself, make little movements of tension and release. We're going to curl into fetal position on one side of the body and then lift yourself to a seated position in your own time. Coming to a seated posture that's comfortable for you. And sitting in a moment of meditation, again, to just feel now, as we sit erect, the results of the practice. Now taking one arm to one shoulder, one arm to the other shoulder. We're going to give ourselves a self-hug as we meditate. Really feel here. Feel your arms. Feel your arms against each other and your arms around yourself. Feel your hands on your shoulders. Be present for yourself. Breathe deeply in and out, slowly, fully, and receive this hug that you're giving yourself. Befriend yourself. Now allow your shoulders to rise up towards your ears and hug yourself even tighter. Really embrace yourself. Rock side to side gently and feel the comforting. Nurture yourself. Give yourself the support you need so that you can be more flexible in all kinds of situations. And then release your hands and your arms, bringing thumb and forefinger together. Rubbing the hands together now. We'll bring them back into Anjali Mudra at the chest. Breathe in deeply and prepare to chant. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Be at peace.